All right, you wanna make sure that you know exactly what to do as soon as you bring your dog home, and you wanna know what to train them. The absolute basics are gonna be teaching your dog how to sit, teaching your dog to lay down, to go to a place or a dog bed and to stay there without getting up, how to walk on a leash, how to use the bathroom outside, okay, and not on the floor, and then how to sleep comfortably in a kennel. Those are your absolute basics every dog needs to know. And how you're gonna teach those, today we have other videos on place, down, come, how to walk on a leash. So today what I'm gonna talk to you about specifically is how to get your dog to sleep in a kennel and why that's important, and also potty training, okay? So right off the bat, you do not want your dog sleeping in bed with you, okay? If your dog starts whining in a kennel, it sounds like very basic or barbaric, what have you, but it is actually very successful to 9 dogs out of 10. Okay, hopefully your dog isn't that 1 out of 10. If that is the case, we have other videos for separation anxiety. But ideally, you wanna get like a pot or a pan or a shoe or something, and if your dog's whining in the kennel, you walk in there, you smack the kennel, and you say, no. Then you leave, okay? And that typically works. Typically, that'll stop the dogs, especially if they're young puppies. That's gonna do a lot of work for them to they don't like it, it's loud on their ears, you're saying no loudly, you're not happy, and they're typically whining to bring you to them to get them out of their kennel. So when you go to them and then you have a loud noise that startles them, that's applying a punisher to the whining. You don't come and smack the kennel unless they whine. So you sit, you get a treat, you whine in the kennel, you get a kennel smack, okay? And if your dog understands that, typically they'll stop whining. All right, and then to teach the dog that the kennel is a good area, I just recommend feeding your dog in the kennel right off of the bat. Super simple, just put your bowl of food in there. Whenever they start eating, shut the door, leave. When your dog's done eating, come back, open the door, let them out. You can toss treats in there to have them go in, and when they get the treat, shut the door. When they turn around, see the door shut, try to get your dog to sit, or you can toss another treat as soon as they see the door shut. Then you can open the door, let them out. You can put a bone in there for them to chew on for a little bit, though I do not recommend, when we're training dogs, we don't let there be any toys or bones, because when you're in a kennel, that means you need to lay down and you need to sleep, or you need to lay down and be quiet. However, when we're building a positive association, we want that dog to like the kennel. Just to have the kennel be associating with a lot of good stuff. Feeding them in there, treats in there, things like this are gonna go a long way. And in the beginning, if your dog does whine when you're out of the room, and say you have a big house, okay, what you can do is put your dog's kennel next to your bed and then cover it. So if your dog whines, you can just smack it, roll over in bed, smack it. Then you're gonna put your dog's kennel at the end of your room. Then you're gonna put the dog's kennel out of the room, and then little by little, you can just gradually increase the distance. But it is extremely important to get a dog in the kennel, and you do not want them to sleep in bed with you right off the bat, because then they're going to start whining. They're typically gonna start whining whenever they are separate from you. We see it time and time again. If a dog has severe separation anxiety, it's always because the owners are letting the dog sleep in bed with them. And I don't judge, right? We don't judge about that. It's easy to prevent, but once you've gone down that trap of having your dog sleep in bed with you, then you like the dog sleeping in bed with you, and then your dog loves to sleep in bed with you. And you may say, well, I never need a kennel. Okay, what happens when your dog goes to the vet? What happens if your dog gets sick, breaks an arm, and has to spend the night in a kennel? He's going to be miserable in that kennel. So by teaching him to sleep in the kennel away from you, you are preparing him, whether he likes it or not, to be independent from you. We don't want dogs dependent on our presence. We want them to be independent. We want them to be able to stay in a kennel, to be able to go board somewhere without losing their mind, right? So it's a very good behavior and a foundation to get your dog to like to sleep inside of the kennel. The next step is potty training, okay? There's 2 ways to go about this. I'm sure there are more, but we teach 2. If you're very proficient on dog body language, okay, then what you can do is read your dog's signals to go to the bathroom. But as soon as we get a dog, here's what we do. We typically feed our puppies morning and night, and at night we'll feed them like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And in the morning, we'll feed them, say I wake up at 5 a.m., okay, and I go to work at 8. I'm gonna try to feed my puppy at 7. That way, when I wake up in the morning, I have from 5 to 7 to correct him for whining in his kennel. And then I can let him out, feed him, and then I have from 7 to 8 to let him go to the bathroom. And let's see, so the potty training, okay, so we can teach bells, right? Where we hold a bell up, he nose touches the bell, we give him a treat, and then we progress to where we can hang the bell on our doorknob, where the dog rings the bells to go outside. That is a great way if you're brand new and you don't know how to communicate with a dog, or say, you know, you get really fixated on what you're doing, your work. And so having a dog ring the bell in the other room is going to allow you to go and let them out. Is a great way of, you know, training your puppy. It does come with some drawbacks. Dogs will ring the bells to go outside to play, to go outside to sniff, to go outside to pee or poop. And so your dog is going to potentially run you rampant unless you're able to put your foot down and say, no, we go outside, we're not gonna play. You pee and poop and you ring the bells, then bring them back in. So say your dog rings the bells, you go outside and they pick up a ball. You could say, no, they drop the ball, you tug the leash, you go inside, then you say kennel or down, and then you tie them down, or what have you. And then they realize, okay, when I ring the bell and go outside to play, they don't allow it. I'm only allowed to go pee or poop. And that's basically how you can solve that for ringing the bells. Also, ringing the bells often scratches the door wherever the bells are behind. So I recommend getting a plastic strip or a little metallic strip of metal so that your dog's nails don't tear up your doors. If you don't care, no worries. But if you do care, that's something to just kind of want to prevent. The other thing is reading the dog's body language, okay? So when I see my dog scratch his neck, that's when I can say outside, I walk him on a leash, we go outside, he pees, I reward, we come back in. And then the other strategy, which I typically use right off the bat, if your dog comes to us for training, we're gonna use bells. It's just easier across the board when the dog rings the bells. There's gonna be no guessing of, you know, does my dog need to go outside? Yes, he needs to go outside. Whether he needs to go outside to play or pee or poop, that's what is to be determined. However, regardless, we're gonna pick up the peeing and pooping with the playing at some point by just letting him outside. What is ideal though is get your dog on schedule, okay? So at 5, 6 p.m. we pull the water and we stop the feeding. At 8 to 10 p.m. they have their last potty break, and we'll typically have them go, if it's a brand new puppy, you're gonna likely need to let them out 2 times within 10 hours. But you're not gonna have to do it forever. And so for 2 weeks, or 1 week, we're gonna do that. And then the second week, we're gonna let them out once in between an 8 to 10 hour period. And then the third week, we're gonna let them out, you know, if I let them out at, basically at the beginning of 8 hours, and then I'm gonna go the full 8 hours and let them out. So you can push your dog pretty heavily there, and they can learn to hold their bladder, especially if you're pulling food, you're not giving them any treats, and you're pulling the water at 6 p.m., they're not going to need to use the bathroom, and that's ideal. But what I always recommend for our clients to do is to take a little notepad and to write down the time of when your dog eats, drinks, pees, and poops. Typically, we only need to do this for about 3 days, and then you know that your dog's on a schedule, okay? And here's what you can do. Now that I know my dog eats at 7 a.m., has to poop at 7:30 a.m., for 5 days, I can set an alarm for 7:30. When my alarm goes off, I take my dog, I have him ring the bells, then I take him outside to go to the bathroom. When he poops, I reward him. Or I can say at 7:30, I can look at him, I can say outside, and then we go outside, he pees and poops, I reward him. The other thing is, day 6, my alarm goes off at 7:30, I'll shut my alarm off, and now I'll watch my dog. And I'll look for a scratch. I'll look to see if he goes to the door, if he tries to ring the bells, okay? And if he does, wonderful, I'll say, yes, outside. I'll give him a treat. We'll go outside, he'll pee and poop. I'll reward him again. That's fantastic. If he doesn't, if he looks around, doesn't see me, okay, so when we're watching our dog, by the way, we want to kind of be sneaky. We want to be like behind a wall. We don't really want them to know that we're watching them, okay? And so if he looks at me, I may look away or something like that. It could be something really simple. But as soon as I see him start looking around and start to sniff the corners, I know he's about to pee or poop. If your dog is e-collar trained, this is a wonderful time to find their working level. If your dog is not e-collar trained, like contrary to what people believe, you can take a pot and a pan and bang them together. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait until he squats and pees or poops. And as soon as he's doing that, we're gonna bang our pot and pan together, or we're gonna try to startle him, pennies, shaking him, I've heard. Or if we have an e-collar, we're gonna go to his working level and we're gonna click and hold until he stops peeing. We're gonna bang our pots and pans together until he stops peeing, okay? That's going to, the pots and pans are gonna hurt it's basically gonna be super loud on our dog's ears, and he's gonna stop. Then we grab our leash, and then we go outside, we say outside, and then we let him finish. Okay, so we're not gonna be super upset that he peed on the floor. It's just gonna be like, he's peeing. No, grab the leash, walk outside, he pees and poops outside, then we reward. And what that does is it provides a punisher for peeing inside. A lot of our clients, they say our dog is potty trained. He goes to the bathroom outside and he lets us know he's gotta go to the bathroom outside. However, if no one's there to let the dog outside, he'll pee or poop right there because the owners haven't taught the dog, hey, just because you've alerted me to go outside doesn't mean you're gonna get to go outside. You have to learn how to hold your bladder and wait until I let you outside, and you cannot relieve your bladder on the floor because you will be punished. And those punishers make it super easy to understand. This is not allowed. Every time I pee or poop inside, I get interrupted immediately, okay? It sucks, I hate doing it, but every time I go outside to pee or poop, I get treats, steak, chicken, play, it's wonderful to go outside. So whenever you have two different options and one option absolutely is miserable and then the other option is just fantastic, it makes such a clear image for your dog of what to do and then what not to do. And that's really what we want our dogs to understand. Super clear what to do, what not to do. And those are some of our basic potty training lessons. And then guys, get your dog in a kennel at least a couple of days a week. If they sleep on a dog bed, a couple of days a week, put them in a kennel. It's gonna help tremendously. And if you guys would like to see more footage, if you're thinking about getting a dog and you wanna know exactly how we do potty training or separation anxiety, let us know and we'll get you hooked up with some videos or some training classes.